Hey friends, welcome back to Simply a Better You. I'm so excited you could join me here today. So, I have been thinking about what Simply a Better You is going to look like moving forward. And if you guys haven't seen my most recent video where it kind of discusses why we're changing things up and what we'll be doing moving forward, I'll go ahead and link it above here so you guys can hop over there and check that out. So I thought what I would go ahead and begin sharing with you guys is my preparedness process, which is what I have been calling my journey, my walk through life these last handful of years. I can't even say a few years. It's been well over a decade. So I have been on this continuous walk, this journey through life. And obviously, some people say as you get older, things get harder, or as you get older, things get easier. And I don't see it that way. I think that as we develop and grow, we find more purpose and meaning in our life if you are so blessed to do so. Honestly, you have to look for it. You really have to look for it because our world is really full of confusion, chaos. There's a lot of hatred, and there's a lot of discontent and comparison, and there's a lot of judgment and guilt and shame. And we walk in that every day. So even if you're in your little bubble at home and you are happy and peaceful, you still have to walk out into the chaos that is the world. And I thought I would go ahead and begin to share with you guys the process that I have gone through to find peace and contentment and joy in my life, regardless of what the world is throwing at me. I am truly blessed every day to wake up and do the life that I'm doing right now. But it didn't always feel that way. It wasn't always a joyful moment every time I waked up. There were a lot of moments that I woke up and the first thing I did was cry. The first thing I did and thought about was, oh no, not another day. I don't want to do this again. I am sick of doing this again. I don't want to get up and go to this job that I absolutely hate. So I thought I would go ahead and share with you guys how I have found contentment with where I am right now. And this has been a process. I didn't find contentment overnight, but it has been a process that I have walked through in finding contentment in where I am, regardless of the season of life that I am in. So I thought I would go ahead and look up, what is contentment? Aside from how do we find it, what is it? And I went and looked up the definition, and I wasn't really happy with this definition, but Webster's definition: feeling satisfaction with one's possessions, status, or situation. It sounds very unattainable. But when I look at this from a Christian perspective, or you could say like a Christian worldview or a biblical worldview, Christians see contentment very differently, very differently. Contentment has nothing to do with possessions. It has nothing to do with status. It has nothing to do with the situation or the season we are in life. It has nothing to do with those things. Our contentment goes far beyond that. Far beyond that. We find contentment and satisfaction in God. It is rooted in a deep trust and a surrender for God's provisions and His sovereignty. So we find our contentment as a Christian in being a child of God, knowing that everything around us is provided to us. Everything around us has been a blessing to us, no matter how big or how small it is. That's where we find the contentment at. So I thought I would kind of go through some verses in the Bible. This is not a Bible study or a Bible lesson, but I thought I would go ahead and pull a few things from the Bible so that you can see where a Christian might turn to in the Bible to find the answer. Because there are answers in the Bible. You can ask any question, go to the Bible, and start digging. And I guarantee you, you'll probably find it. So I went ahead and I turned to the Bible and I started looking for things, such as trusting in God's provision. So we're going to look at Philippians 4:11 through 12. And I'm going to go ahead and read it to you guys. Just so you know, the current Bible I am reading from is an English Standard Version. It's called an ESV version, or an English Standard Bible. And that way it'll be a little bit easier to understand. I was never good at reading the King James Version with all the these and the thous and the Old English. It just was a little bit difficult for me to understand, and I want to be able to understand my Bible and what I'm reading. All right. Not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. I figured I would throw that last little bit in at the end because it is a verse that you hear quite often. It's a popular verse. It's a verse that you'll even see on the little plaques like I have behind me here. You'll hear a lot of Christians say, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. And that is very true. Very, very true. So in this verse, it is talking about being content in times of highs and lows, in times of abundance and scarcity. And I can definitely testify in times that we had to decide if we were going to keep the electricity on or if we were going to buy food. And God provided. And I wasn't even the bona fide Christian at that point. I was brought up in a Christian home, but we were not a church-going family anymore. So I was taught to believe in God and pray, but those are things that you kind of do on your own, and the family doesn't really talk about it. So before I officially was saved and baptized and such, we lived in a time that was very scarce. We were struggling financially, and it seemed like no matter how many steps we took forward, there was always 6 steps backwards. There was a lot of health issues going on. We were working through a diagnosis for Mia at the time, and I felt absolutely hopeless all the time. And in that time, God provided. Now, how he provided looked a little different. When I look back on it, I can see how it happened. But in the time that it happened, it was a friend that came to our rescue. We needed at least $200 to pay the electric bill or to buy food. But we didn't have enough to split both ways. That friend knew that we were struggling because I had shared some things with his wife, and he had been working overtime at the time, and he went ahead and came by with his wife. He had come by with his wife and dropped off $200 in cash to us. Both of us, my late husband that has passed away, and I, very prideful people. He didn't like to take handouts. I didn't want to take a handout from anybody because I wanted to know that we could provide for our family. That, we weren't poor, we were just in a difficult position, and we were going to get out of it. We were going to fix it, but it was going to be us. But this friend assured me that he felt that this is what this money was for. He had put in overtime. Everything on their end was covered. And he was like, I really feel like this money is for this particular reason. And he adamantly refused to take the money back. He was just like, nope, you have it. You're already touching it. It's yours. But that in itself, I was able to pay the electric bill and we were able to go and get food. And it got us through another month. An absolute blessing when I look back, because in those times I was praying. And when I mean praying, it was more of pleading, which is a prayer. God, what am I supposed to do? What am I going to do now? How am I going to pay this? How am I going to put food in here? I can't look at my kid and tell him we have nothing to eat. I was fumbling over everything to what do I do? How do I do it? What do I need to do? Fix it, fix it, fix it. So when we received the money, I was very grateful that we got the money, but I had looked at it as this person came and gave us this money. Now when I look back, I know that it was God's intervention. This particular person is an atheist. He's been a close friend of mine and my late husband for quite some time, and we have completely different beliefs. We even sit on opposite sides of the political party, but he is a good person. And when he saw a need, he listened to that voice that said, this money is for them. And he followed through with it. Now, he will deny that, nope, that wasn't God. That's just me doing a good deed. And I've looked at him so many times and said, you have no idea the amount of Jesus that's in you. And he just smiles at me and he's like, okay, yeah, sure. But really, there's a lot of Jesus in him. I'm just waiting for him to accept it. So, in this time of lows and highs and these wants, these circumstances in which you may be facing and there might be a hunger or some type of need, we look to God and believe in our faith that He will provide that in some way. That could look like somebody giving you money. That could be a donation. I have quite literally had money show up in my bank account. And we'll get to that. But any time that I have needed, God has provided. And I believe that because I've seen it more than once. So, in times of want and need, I am still in that position of contentment because I know those things will be covered. So now we're going to hop over to Hebrews 13:5. And this is about God being enough. So you might hear a lot when you speak to a Christian or that you go to a church, you might hear people say, oh, well, God is enough. God is all I need. He's enough. He's enough. And as it has been told to me by a family member, you say God is enough, but I can't just sit around and wait for God to pay my bills. And that wasn't what I was saying in what I was telling him. It was how he received it. That's how he heard it, even though that's not what came out of my mouth. And in time, that perspective has changed, but it's still very difficult coming from a place of scarcity, coming from a place where you have 4 mouths to feed and no food and no heat and no water. So people come from different backgrounds and situations in which it could be very hard for them to believe and have faith in something they cannot see with their eyes that is going to provide everything they need. And we as Christians sometimes really fall short of expressing that and sharing that understanding and that compassion. I think sometimes it takes a Christian that has actually been there in that position to give that person some hope and say, hey, let me tell you what God has pulled me through. So, Hebrews 13:5. Let me find my spot. Keep your life free from love of money and be content with what you have. For he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. You will also hear Christians say, oh, remember, you're never alone. He's always there. He has said he will never leave you. He will never forsake you. And that is true. So when I have things, and I have plenty, goodness, I have a roof over my head, electricity is on, we have food in the fridge, I have gas in my car. I have enough. And when God says he is enough, God is enough to fill in the spots in times of wants, in times of scarcity, and those times that, yes, we wish we had the big house or we wished we had the fancy car, but right now what we have is enough. We have a car that runs, we have a roof over our head, whether you're living with somebody or somebody's driving you to work, you have enough in that season, enough in that time. It may not be comfortable. It may not be where you want to be or where you want to stay, but in that time, it is enough. And it can be hard to look at those things and say, this is enough. Because there's been plenty of times I have sat in a room and went, why am I here? Why am I in a place that I don't want to be? I don't like the roof over my head. I don't like the people I live with. My car is falling apart, still running. Obviously, I'm an optimist. It's still running, but it makes horrible noises. It has huge dents in it. The back fender is completely rusted out, and it's embarrassing to drive, but it gets me to work and it gets my kids to school and it gets me where I need to go. In that season, I didn't like my car. When I look back, I see that it was enough. It was doing what I needed it to do in that time that I was in, and it was enough. So let's hop over to Psalms 33:11. All right, Psalms 33:11. Now, Psalms reads more like poetry versus somebody saying something. So sometimes it can sound a little funny, like that doesn't make sense, or oh wow, that rhymes. But it's to read more like a poem or like a song. The counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of his heart to all generations. And basically what this means is his plan is good, and trust in that. His plan is forever. He made the plan. He created the plan. And his plan is best. He knows best. He has everything written out for you, regardless if you have veered from the path or not, because we have freedom of choice. We can choose to deviate from the path that he has us on. But if it is his will, his purpose to have you back on this path, he will let you take the long way around till you get back on his path. He will wait for you. He will wait for you. We're not very patient when it comes to waiting for him, but he will wait for you to get back on that path. So in my preparedness process, I took that path. I went I went headlong. I'm on the path. I'm doing what I need to do. And then I detoured. And I probably took another like 10 or 20 detours until I got back on the path. And I think I probably hit the path around 40. So it's been a long way around, but wow, did I learn a lot. I learned so much. So let's talk about 6 practical steps that you can take to find contentment. One, of course, is prayer. Prayer is a must. Prayer is every day. Prayer is all the time. And your relationship with God is key in this. So deepen your relationship with God. Prayer, reading the Bible, seek him in all things. And let me throw a quick little tip in here for you. Prayer does not necessarily look like you by your bed, kneeling on the floor with the Bible in front of you, with your head bowed and your hands folded. Prayer can happen anywhere at any time. You can be sitting in the car, my favorite place to pray. You can be in the shower, my second favorite place to pray. You can pray while brushing your teeth. Wherever you need to be to have that conversation with God, He can hear you. Whether your mouth is moving and you're talking or you're having the conversation with Him in your mind, He can hear you. And He knows exactly what you're going to say. So, deepen your relationship with God. Practice gratitude. Every day, list a minimum of 5 things that bring you joy, some kind of blessing. And it would be best, or I would advise for you to actually write these down. So go and get you something that's called like a little gratitude journal. You don't have to buy one of the fancy ones. You can actually use a spiral bound notebook. You know, go to the dollar store and grab one. And start by writing 5 things. I usually suggest 5 things because starting out, sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes it can be hard. Don't look for those really deep things that you need to be grateful for. Let's just touch the surface. Let's get just the easy things to find out of the way. I'm grateful to be alive. If that one might be too hard for you, I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I had a job to go to today. I'm grateful that I have at least 50 cents in my bank account. I'm grateful I have food in my fridge. I'm grateful that I have a toothbrush. I'm grateful that I have toothpaste. I'm grateful that I have clothes on me. I'm grateful that I'm able to actually sit and write something in a journal, because a lot of people can't sit and write. You can start just right there at the surface. I'm grateful to be sitting here. Because starting out, I can tell you that it was difficult. You know, to sit in a room and look around and go, I'm grateful for this? What exactly am I supposed to be grateful for? But there was so much for me to be grateful for, because the fact that I was actually sitting in a home and I wasn't freezing on the street, and that I had food, and that my daughter was well and healthy, and that I was well and healthy, and that I had so many things. I had makeup. Makeup's expensive, and it is a luxury to be able to go to the store and pick up makeup. Getting your hair done is a luxury. Getting your nails done is a luxury. I had so many things to be grateful for that so many don't have. So start there. Get you a gratitude journal, list 5 things every day. You can either do it first thing in the morning or do it late in the evening before bed. Sometimes I would sit in the car waiting for the kids to get out of school and make my little list, because those are quiet times. The next thing I would suggest is simplify your life. Remove the junk out of your life. This can look like decluttering your house. This can also look like setting boundaries. So if you have some toxic people in your life, family members and things, setting safe boundaries. Prioritize in your life what matters. So in my life, it's God, family, and my community. Some people will say, you know, God, family, and country. Prioritize in your life what matters. Now, if you're not wrapped around God and family and community, then we may need to look at things like my health, my job, you know, things like that. You can start small. You don't have to be all philosophical and, you know, one with yourself and the world to find contentment. Start small and then you work your way up. You do. You begin to see yourself in whose you are instead of, you know, what you are or what people think that you are. So that leads me to comparison. By removing a lot of things from your house, you remove the comparison. Don't get on social media. I know I can say don't get on social media and compare yourself. We still do it. Social media is basically the biggest lie ever created. everything has to look perfect. Even before I sat down to do this, I made sure this was cleared off and cleaned and the stuff was moved out of the way so that I didn't have distraction behind me, or that you guys couldn't see the car seat that I pulled out of my car and haven't put back in over a month. You know, my house right now, if I was to walk you on through it, it's a mess. I have dishes in the sink. I have pots and pans on the stove. I've got dog toys in the middle of the floor. We live here. And it is hard to not compare yourself to other people and what their beautiful homes look like. I have a home. I have a home that's warm. I have a home I can afford. And I have a home that is paid off. That is what I wanted in a home. It is not beautiful. It has bumps and dings in it and uneven drywall and cracks, and it kind of leans a little bit more to one side than it probably should. It's an old farmhouse, but I am absolutely content with this house because these are just things. I can hear my little person. So these are just things that surround us. These are tools. These are things that we use in our life. They do not dictate who you are and whose you are. And when I mean whose you are, it's your identity in Christ. So I don't look at my possessions and go, this is who I am. That's how the status thing happens. When I have all these things, I've met where I need to be. I've achieved the status. I drive the Mercedes. I have the big $1 million house. That's not what we're going for. That's not contentment. That's keeping up with the Joneses. And I don't want to live that life. That's a stressful life. So, simplify your life. 4, one of my absolute favorites, serve others. Serve others. Acts of service bring immense joy, especially if you have a serving spirit where you're one of those people, you love to feed people. You love to talk to people and provide them guidance and counsel. There are some people that love to take care of children. They love to be a child, and it is easy for them to take care of children. These are acts of service. When we serve people, we tend to be happier. We find great joy in it. When I serve others at church, I find great joy in it. I mean, and all I'm doing is opening a door. I open a door and I say good morning and I smile and hug a few people and shake some hands and tell somebody where the bathroom is. But when I'm done and I walk back into the sanctuary to jump into worship that's already going, I can't help but smile. I can't help but feel light, kind of light and airy, and that everything is just where it should be. So serve others. Serve others. 5, set realistic goals. So change what you can control, but stop trying to change the things you can't control. I guess I could say like one word, inflation, maybe 2 words, politics. There are some things that we can't control. There are some things that are happening around us, in our state, in our city, or out of our state, in other countries. We do not have control over it. So we need to focus in on what we can control in changing those things. Our brains are actually made to not take in the amount of stuff that we take in every day. Like our brain has a limit. I mean, haven't any of you ever wondered, especially if you're a little older like I am, have you ever wondered why you can still remember your phone number from when you were 10, but you can't remember what you wore yesterday or what you went to the kitchen to get? Because we're at our capacity. There's no more room. So clean it out. Let go of that stuff that you can't control. Stop worrying about all these things that are going on in the world and focus on the immediate things that are right in front of you. Your family. Focus on your job. Focus on whatever it is that is going on in you that you need to wrap your head around. If you need to do some healing, get some counseling, focus on those things. That's what leads you to contentment, not the world. Not looking at everything that's going on out here to see how that's supposed to make you better. No, it doesn't work like that. Number 6, reflect on your purpose. Understand and find your God-given purpose. These are things like talents, passions, or pursuing activities that align with your purpose or something that God has given you. So some of us actually are already doing it and don't realize it. Probably the best example I could give you is that when you see somebody that really, really enjoys their job, and they say, wow, they're super passionate about that job, like they would do it and not get paid for it, that's a purpose. That job fulfills them and provides them with contentment, not the money, although the money's a perk. But they do their job and it brings such great, deep satisfaction. And that's kind of like what we're looking for. Instead of, many of us don't have a choice. We have to work. We have to go and do something. I've done a lot of different jobs, and they were usually jobs that were meant to help people. In some way, I was in a position in which I was meant to elevate somebody else, whether that was encouraging them, providing them the tools and the skills to get them going. That is what I have always done, which is why I'm sitting right here doing this. It is something that I absolutely enjoy doing. I wanted to be a counselor. And I've returned to school to get the counseling degree, but now I'm like, you know what? I don't need the degree. At this point, I would solely be getting it just to say I achieved it. And I thought about that and I was like, okay, is this really a goal that I want to set and achieve just to achieve it? Or would I rather direct my purpose to actually achieving the purpose? So a lot of people would say, oh yeah, go get the counseling degree. You're really great at that. You love to talk to people. People listen to you. You give great advice. Go get the degree. This is where understanding what a God-given purpose, or sometimes it's called a talent or a passion, is. Some people go and get the degree and they build, a career around it. And some of us don't. You'll see a lot of entrepreneurs that have started businesses that are very passionate about what they're doing, and they didn't go to college and get a degree for it. There are some things that you choose. Beautiful thing about choice is you can choose. Do I want to get the degree to back the passion, or do I just want to pursue the passion? And I thought, this late in life and where I am right now with homeschooling 2 kids and Mia transitioning to her adult life, I realized that they're going to need a lot of me. And if I'm trying to stretch myself in 2 areas, school, which takes up a lot of me, and actually teaching them, I have to pick. But I don't have to give up my purpose. So therefore, I can still be mom, be here, and pursue this purpose of sharing information, advice, guidance, and encouraging people to do what it is they're called to do. A lot of people don't know what their purpose is. It took me a few years to figure it out because I thought it was going to be something spectacular. I really thought it was going to be something like, saving the world. I'm making this huge impact, like you see online, people that have transformed and changed millions of people's lives and things. And sometimes you get to be that person. You get to be the huge rock in the pond that makes all the big waves and ripples. And then other times you get to be a pebble that makes small ripples. and that is okay. It is perfectly okay. It is okay if you make a difference in changing the people's lives around you. It is okay if you are a mom at home, raising children, homeschooling, providing meals, educating them, stewarding them to be good little people. That's a passion. That is a purpose for somebody. And there's nothing wrong with that. I wish I had understood that 25 years ago, because I was pushed and encouraged and told by the world, you must do this: graduate, go to college, get the degree, get the job, make money, have the family, buy the house, basically the American dream. If you don't do these steps, then you have no purpose and you have achieved nothing. And I believed it. So I was miserable. I was doing everything the world told me to do, and I was miserable. And finally, I set it down and I went, no. I love the word no. No is a very freeing word. But I sat down and I said, no, we're not doing this anymore. I don't want to do this. This is not what I'm called to do. This is not my purpose. This is not my passion. I want to be a mom. That's all I've ever wanted. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be a wife. I wanted to stay home and take care of my family and my home. And I was told that that was not a fulfilling purpose. I was doing nothing. And I can definitely tell you that I do not do nothing. To take the time and sit and do this, I have to build this into my day. I have to block this into my day, because my children and my home and my children, my home, my family, my marriage, that is my purpose. This is extra. This is the extra. My cup is full, and this is the extra that I have to share with you. This is the stuff that comes out and overflow that I get to share with all of you, because I can now say that I found contentment. I have found my purpose. And it doesn't matter if I'm living in a $30,000 home or a mansion, if I have an old car or a brand new car, if I am wearing designer clothes or I have a designer bag. None of that gives me purpose. None of that brings me true joy. It offers happiness, which is different from joy. I get some feel-good emotions out of that, because everybody likes to buy pretty things, new things, and you get a little bit of joy out of it, and then after a little bit, it goes away. The world can't sustain you. Your contentment needs to be found in something that is everlasting, something that doesn't fail, and that's God. It's just that simple. And when you have belief and faith in that, it is ever-flowing and non-ending. Hang on, Joe's calling me. Okay, so Joe called, so I had to pop away for a minute. So understanding that the world is ever changing and circumstances are always going to change. That is what life is, change. But God does not change. God is a firm foundation on which we build everything on as Christians. And part of that foundation is having faith in Him, knowing that He provides, He never leaves us, and that He has a plan and a purpose for us, and it is good. He is enough. And I know it sounds so simple to be able to say, hey, He is enough, be content with what you have and where you are. I know it takes work. I know it takes work because I've been doing it for years. And I never thought I was going to get there. I never thought I was going to be on this side of uncontentment and be content. But really sit with yourself this week and try to do these 6 things. At least sit down and write down 5 things every day that are a blessing to you, something that brings you joy, something you are so grateful for. If that is your cell phone, write that down. And begin that process of finding gratitude in your everyday life. And then from there, work on prayer. Work on prayer and deepening that relationship with God. Remember, it is just a conversation between you and Him. You don't have to sit down and fold your hands. You can keep your eyes open. You don't have to sit down with your Bible, although I would encourage you, just sit down with it and let it fall open and start reading. You don't have to pick a place to start. Just start reading, and the Spirit will guide you where you need to go. So guys, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm excited that I get to bring these things to you. So here shortly, I will be doing a series on holiday. So everything from your holiday budget to holiday stress to decluttering things and decorating for the holidays. Everything that has to do with holidays, even how to deal with the family on the holidays. So guys, thanks so much for joining me on my journey today, and I bless you on yours.